Order. On behalf of the House, I welcome as guests the President of the Senate and honourable senators to this sitting of the House of Representatives to hear an address by His Excellency Mr Joko Widodo, President of the Republic of Indonesia.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the Republic of Indonesia. Mr President, I welcome you to the House of Representatives chamber. Your address today is a significant occasion in the history of the House of Representatives, and I call the Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, today we welcome the President of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Joko Widodo. President Widodo, it is an honour and a privilege to have you here amongst us as a true friend. Selamat datang. And President Widodo, we are not only welcoming you and your delegation at this time in this country, because at present we welcome 40 members of the Indonesian National Armed Forces, including military engineers and medical staff who are currently assisting with bushfire relief and recovery in New South Wales, and today they're working on floods. We thank you, Mr President. We thank the people of Indonesia, and we thank the Republic of Indonesia. Like a true friend, as you are, you have lent a great hand, and we are a grateful nation. President Widodo, you join us here in the home of our democracy, as the leader of our most important neighbour and as a dear, dear friend. Shortly after becoming Prime Minister, on my first overseas visit, in fact, I found myself at a school in Bogor, surrounded by young Indonesian students brimming with promise, singing, in fact. So I decided to tell them a story, as we often do when we visit our schools. I told them the story of a man I was on my way to meet that day, a man who had come from modest and humble beginnings, a man who had worked hard to put himself through university, who'd studied forestry and then set up a business and did what others thought he couldn't or perhaps shouldn't. A man who, as we say here in Australia, had a go. And then I asked the students, do you know who I'm talking about? And they didn't know. So I pointed across to the room to a photo that hung on the wall, and it was your portrait. It was your story I told, that they knew as Bapak Jokowi. It was a story that showed we can all make our own futures, and that is as true in Indonesia as it is here in this country. I said, he's like you, I told the students. President Widodo, you have many admirers here, in this chamber, and that fill the galleries here today. We have watched and seen your great leadership in your country and throughout the region, and we know it and we trust it. Thanks to your leadership, Indonesia today is an even more dynamic and more successful country, to the great benefit of your people. Your commitment to deepening our two nations' partnership and strengthening our shared region in the Indo-Pacific is honoured here today. And I like to think we are countries that can cheer each other on. We can cheer on our successes together. And as Australia has appreciated in recent months, stand together in the so many difficult times, as Australia will always with Indonesia as you face other difficult times. Many years ago, it was another generation of Australian leaders who championed and supported Indonesian independence. So much so that President Sukarno asked Australia to represent Indonesia in the UN discussions. A generation that dreamed and hoped for what we could achieve together. Our countries are living out that hope today. Of course, as our modern relationship has matured, there have been many times when we haven't agreed. That's only normal in the relationships between friends, where you have to deal with a multitude of challenges. But respect underpins the trust that we have formed. Our countries work hard to understand where there are differences, rather than focus on them. We listen to each other, we learn from each other, and importantly, we are honest with each other. In doing so, we have discovered, as Prime Minister Menzies said during his first visit to Indonesia in 1959, we have 10 times as much in common than we have in difference, and that is ever so today. Today, Australia and Indonesia have built the trust that underpins only the truest of friendships. Trust allows us to work through the differences that neighbours sometimes face. For Australia, we see Indonesia's success as something to be celebrated. We count Indonesia amongst our most important partners, and it has now become indeed a convention that the first visit of any Prime Minister is to Jakarta. There are many challenges in the Indo-Pacific region. The strategic competition, maintaining international rules and norms, and a resurgence of terrorism and violent extremism, all of which we must face together, because these are not challenges any of us can face alone. We need partners. We need our friends. As the Indonesian saying goes, berat sama dipikul, ringan sama dijinjin, heavy when shouldered alone, light if carried together. Australia and Indonesia understand this well, and we have worked together closely over many years on defence and counter-terrorism issues, on maritime security, combating smugglers and illegal fishing along our maritime border. Together, Australia and Indonesia are motivated by our shared concerns for our region and our shared vision for an open, prosperous Indo-Pacific, underpinned by strong institutions, rules and norms. By continuing to work together, we can build the region's resilience and make our people safer and our economy stronger. Our ambitious comprehensive strategic partnership, which was finalised 18 months ago, gives us a framework for even closer ties. We now have a plan of action to take the next steps in our relationship, from trade and investment to defence, counter-terrorism, maritime security, ocean sustainability and education, to name only some. And even today, we add energy and the future of fuel sources for our nations to this long list. But that is only where our ambition begins. We know there is more to be done, especially on the economic front. Indonesia is one of Australia's nearest northern neighbours, a growing trillion-dollar economy and the fourth most populous nation, but only our 13th largest trading partner. Australia is Indonesia's 13th largest too. There is enormous untapped potential for both nations that we have recognised, and we are determined to unlock this through the IACPA. And I want to acknowledge today the presence of the former Prime Minister, Malcolm Turnbull, who did so much work to bring this to a reality. Once in force, this modern transformative agreement will do more than make trade easier. It will open the door to new economic opportunities and forge more partnerships between our businesses, farmers, investors and tech entrepreneurs, our researchers and our scientists. One area where IACPA can facilitate closer economic engagement is, of course, in education. Our educational connections already run deep, with 16,000 young Indonesian leaders studying in Australia every year. And I am delighted that the first university in the world to establish a branch campus in Indonesia will be Australia's Monash University. Monash, Indonesia, what a combination, those two names, will contribute powerfully to Indonesia's economic, social and technological development. It will deliver master's, PhD and professional training programs and partner with Indonesia's leading national, private and Islamic universities to establish deep research links with Indonesian businesses. Our country's economies and people are being drawn closer. That is something we've encouraged, the new Colombo Plan, and the Bridge program between schools, and interfaith exchanges also, something I know that President Widodo and I are both keen to promote. Mr President, this black summer, the Australian and Indonesian people have suffered traumatic climatic events, bushfires here in Australia and floods in Indonesia. Fire and flood, nature can be so indiscriminate. 61 people died in New Year's floods that hit Jakarta and the West Java and Banten provinces. The most ferocious rain resulting in flash flooding and landslides. Despite their own struggles and amidst your own suffering, Indonesians remembered Australia and reached out to us also. Kindness upon kindness. In Bali, a place that has become for Australians a home away from home, there were dozens of fundraisers to assist our fire efforts. For 2 days, 1,250 local taxi drivers from the Bluebird Group made donations for every taxi trip booked in Bali. In Makassar, a group of Indonesians who had attended Australian University raised funds for the Red Cross. In their words, we felt we had to do something to help. And last week in Surabaya, a 6-year-old girl organised a school fundraiser. She wanted to help our koalas. We're seeing the same generosity from the Indonesian community here in Australia too. In Darwin, a food bazaar event was organised by the local community group and supported by the Indonesian consulate. There were bakso, there were tahu isi and bakwan, and I apologise for my pronunciations, all on offer. One of the men behind the event, Dominic Watono, said what he had in his community raised wasn't the biggest sum, but to that I would say it was the bigness of his heart that mattered. These actions and so many more speak of the wonderful Indonesian character. These acts of kindness make me confident about Australia and Indonesia's future. President Widodo, as does your presence here today and your friendship. On behalf of this Parliament, the Australian people, I welcome you again, and we look forward to your address. Terima kasih. Thank you, my friend.
And I call the Honourable the Leader of the Opposition.
Thanks very much, Mr Speaker, and I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet and pay my respect to their elders past and present. Selamat datang temannya. Mr President, I would like to welcome you and Foreign Minister Marsudi to Canberra for this historic visit. I had the great pleasure of once again visiting Indonesia to meet with the Foreign Minister in August last year. For my first overseas visit as leader of the Australian Labor Party, Jakarta was the obvious choice. We think of the relationship between our nations as neighbours, as partners, and importantly as friends, as one of central importance. When I returned from Indonesia, I was filled with an even stronger personal commitment to the growth and the prospering of our relationship. Your visit comes as we're about to embark on a new stage in our relationship as the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement is brought into operation. I'm very pleased that Labor was able to support this agreement and strongly hope it will see a new phase of economic engagement between our two countries. Indonesia is on course to take its place among the top economies in the world, the fourth largest over coming decades. Yet our economic relationship has struggled to keep pace with the reality of Indonesia's economic rise. We therefore need to build on this recently finalised agreement, not only to dramatically increase our trade relationships, but to widen this to our investment links. Beyond these, we also see it as an opportunity to deepen our economic, business, trade union and civil society links. So important is this goal that I've launched an Indo-Pacific Trade Task Force within the Australian Labor Party, led by Luke Gosling. This task force will identify new ways in which Australia and Indonesia can expand our economic relationship alongside our other relationships in the region. Labor welcomes your ongoing work to improve Indonesia's attractiveness as an investment destination and lay the foundations for long-term development, and it was a pleasure to have the opportunity to discuss those issues with you one-on-one earlier this morning. Should Labor come to government, we intend to again look at Australia's level of development assistance to Indonesia. Your Excellency, as neighbours, Australia and Indonesia have a common interest in working together to shape our region based on the principles of openness, transparency, democratic principles and inclusion. Our partnership finds strength in our unique histories and perspectives, but we cannot allow ourselves to be complacent. We must dedicate ourselves to building a deeper understanding between our diverse communities, not just our elites. Labor remains firmly focused on our partnership in all of its dimensions. Indeed, I'm pleased to count no less than 4 Bahasa speakers in the senior ranks of the Australian Labor Party. My good friends and colleagues, our Senate Leader, Penny Wong, Chris Bowen, Stephen Jones and Luke Gosling. Our partnership finds expression in so many ways. For example, your decision to send over 40 military engineers and other personnel to help us in our time of need during our ongoing bushfire crisis. This was the action of a true friend. And Your Excellency, just last Friday, I received an unexpected reminder of our relationship when visiting the New South Wales South Coast with my shadow cabinet. Prior to the meeting in Bateman's Bay, we visited Mogo. Now, this is a very small hamlet on the South Coast. It had been under threat. As you drive into the main street of town, you see homes that have been reduced to ash. There, in Mogo's main street, alongside coffee shops and other stores, there was a store that we ran into, run by a local, Trent Harvey, who is a local who was working in Sydney and decided to move back to set up a small business in Mogo. And it is called Indo Direct. It has arts, it has furniture, it has every product imaginable imported from your great nation. Here it is, a town with a population of just over 300, demonstrating in a really practical way why increased trade is good for both our economies and both our peoples. In this case, Indonesia's manufacturers and artisans. On Australia's side, our retail and our tourism sectors. So on behalf of Labor, I purchased a ceramic artwork as a gift for you, a small gift, just to remind you of your support for our bushfire communities from your country, but purchased in Mogo, a small town doing it tough. Not what you expect to run into when you're in a small hamlet on the South Coast, but we will make sure that you receive that later today, Mr. President. Indonesia's blossoming democracy stands as another basis for greater cooperation in our region and the wider world. Indonesia's successful historic transition to a multi-party democracy sends a powerful message, one that resonates all the more now at a time when we are seeing, unfortunately, a global trend towards authoritarianism. The Bali Democracy Forum is a great expression of this, and in the future I would be keen to do more with Indonesia to promote democracy in our region, and I'm sure I speak in this case on behalf of the entire Parliament. Of course, this isn't the only area where there's a great opportunity to work together as partners. Indonesia and Australia have already been able to work together on protecting the global order, founded on international law, which we both believe is so central to our individual destinies. On areas like the law of the sea, Indonesia has played an absolutely critical role, and we would also look forward to working with you on the challenge of addressing climate change, which is a threat to both our nations. Indonesia and Australia's networks of links across the globe are different but highly complementary and enable us to deliver more together at the global level than we could do apart as individual nations. So for this reason, you can be confident that any future government that I lead will be committed to expanding on the important cooperation on the rules-based order we have achieved to date. Regionally, Indonesia has always proven highly adept at bringing together divergent views in the region and finding ways to negotiate the challenging geopolitical environment that we face together. More recently, your leadership to ASEAN members coming together around a shared ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific. This work clearly evidenced your strategic wisdom, and Labor strongly supports the outlook. Your Excellency, in closing, I hope you go away from your visit with a very clear understanding that no matter which party forms government here in Canberra, you can expect a strong and bipartisan commitment to the importance of the relationship between not just our two nations but our two people. And you can always count on an equally deep commitment to making our relationship an even better one. Thank you.
Mr. President, it gives me great pleasure to invite you to address the House.
Yang Mulia Perdana Menteri Scott Morrison, Yang Mulia Senator Scott Ryan, Yang Mulia Bapak Tony Smith, Yang Mulia Bapak Anthony Albanese, Yang Mulia para senator dan anggota parlemen yang saya hormati, para undangan dan hadirin yang berbahagia. Selamat siang. Good day, mate. Saya merasa terhormat hari ini dapat berbicara di hadapan seluruh anggota Senat dan House Australia. Bapak Ibu yang mulia, tanggal 2 Februari yang lalu, satu peleton ZENI dari TNI serta sejumlah personil dari Badan Nasional Penanggulangan Bencana sebanyak 40 personil meninggalkan Indonesia menuju ke New South Wales. Satu tujuan mereka bekerja bahu-membahu dengan rakyat Australia untuk menangani kebakaran hutan. Dan di saat yang sama, tim Indonesia dan Australia juga sedang membahas penjajakan kerjasama untuk modifikasi cuaca. Tanggal 23 Desember 2019 yang lalu, saya menyampaikan pesan yang sangat jelas kepada Bapak Scott Morrison, bahwa Indonesia akan selalu bersama Australia di masa yang sulit. Saat Ayahanda Perdana Menteri Morrison meninggal dunia, saya dan rakyat Indonesia ikut merasakan duka PM Morrison dan keluarga. Sahabat sejati adalah yang selalu bersama dalam suka dan duka. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Australia selalu berada di samping Indonesia saat Indonesia terkena musibah. Rakyat Indonesia tidak akan pernah lupa saat kami tertimpa tsunami di tahun 2004 di Aceh dan Nias. 9 tentara Australia telah gugur membantu sahabatnya yang tengah berduka di Aceh dan Nias. Mereka adalah patriot, mereka adalah sahabat Indonesia, mereka adalah pahlawan kemanusiaan. Indonesia dan Australia ditakdirkan sebagai tetangga dekat. Kita tidak bisa memilih tetangga, tidak bisa. Namun kita memilih untuk bersahabat. Australia adalah sahabat paling dekat Indonesia. Para hadirin yang saya muliakan, 61 tahun yang lalu, yaitu tahun 1959, Perdana Menteri Robert Menzies pada saat berkunjung ke Universitas Gadjah Mada, alma mater saya, beliau berkata, "We have 10 times as much in common than we have in different." Meskipun Indonesia dan Australia memiliki budaya yang berbeda, namun kita memiliki nilai-nilai yang sama. Kemajemukan, keberagaman etnis dan toleransi, demokrasi dan penghormatan hak asasi manusia, serta perlindungan terhadap lingkungan hidup. Tidak hanya itu, kaum muda Australia dan Indonesia memiliki kesamaan. Indonesia saat ini memasuki bonus demografi. Jumlah anak muda usia 16 sampai 30 tahun sebanyak 63 juta atau 24% dari total populasi. Kebanyakan mereka berwawasan global, ingin berkolaborasi untuk berinovasi. Indonesia sekarang memiliki 1 dekakon dan 4 unicorn yang dimotori oleh anak-anak muda. Anak muda Indonesia dan anak muda Australia terbentuk oleh nilai yang sama. Sama-sama hidup di alam yang demokratis, familiar dengan Netflix, Instagram, Facebook, dan saling aktif bertukar pikiran lintas negara. Hal ini yang menjadi fondasi nilai yang kuat dalam menjalin persahabatan masa kini dan masa depan. Bapak Ibu hadirin yang saya muliakan, usia 70 tahun persahabatan Indonesia-Australia bukanlah waktu yang sebentar. 70 tahun adalah masa platinum, sebuah platinum persahabatan yang kokoh, bukan saja persahabatan antar pemerintah dan antar parlemen, tetapi juga rakyat kedua negara. Platinum persahabatan tersebut harus kita perkokoh terus. Kita harus bersama-sama mempersiapkan saat kemitraan Indonesia-Australia berumur 100 tahun, 30 tahun, 3 dekade dari sekarang. Tahun 2050, 1 abad umur kemitraan kita adalah momen krusial. Pada tahun 2050, Indonesia dan Australia akan bertransformasi menjadi pemain besar di kawasan dan dunia. Menurut PricewaterhouseCoopers, misalnya, pada tahun 2050, Indonesia akan menjadi ekonomi terbesar keempat dunia, dengan PDB sekitar 10,5 triliun US dollar. Indonesia juga akan menjadi negara emerging market dengan jumlah kelas menengah terbesar ketiga di dunia. Namun di lain sisi, tahun 2050 dunia juga diprediksi semakin dipenuhi ketidakpastian. Jika tren saat ini berlanjut, maka dunia 3 dekade mendatang akan semakin terdisrupsi. Situasi geopolitik dan geoekonomi dunia semakin berat. Stagnasi pertumbuhan ekonomi, bahkan resesi ekonomi dunia sulit dihindari. Dikhawatirkan nilai demokrasi dan kemajemukan akan termarginalkan. Di tengah berbagai tantangan tersebut, Indonesia dan Australia harus fokus pada upaya peningkatan kemitraan. Saya mengusulkan beberapa agenda prioritas menyongsong 1 abad kemitraan kita. Pertama, kita harus terus memperjuangkan nilai demokrasi, hak asasi manusia, toleransi, dan kemajemukan. Stop intoleransi, stop xenofobia, stop radikalisme, stop terorisme. Terus kikis politik identitas di negara kita dan di berbagai belahan dunia, baik itu atas dasar agama, etnisitas, identitas askriptif lainnya. Politik identitas merupakan ancaman terhadap kualitas demokrasi, ancaman bagi kemajemukan, dan ancaman bagi toleransi. Ancaman ini semakin nyata jika terus dieksploitasi demi kepentingan politik jangka pendek yang mengakibatkan kebencian, ketakutan, bahkan konflik sosial. Sebagai 2 negara yang demokratis dan majemuk, kita harus bekerja keras bahu-membahu, berdiri tegak untuk memperjuangkan nilai-nilai demokrasi dan toleransi serta kemajemukan, dan mencegah dunia dari ancaman clash of civilization. Kedua, Indonesia dan Australia harus memperkuat prinsip ekonomi terbuka, bebas, dan adil. Di tengah maraknya proteksionisme, kita harus terus menyuarakan keterbukaan dan keadilan ekonomi. Di tengah tumbuhnya subur pendekatan zero-sum game, kita harus terus memperkokoh paradigma win-win. Saya sangat percaya bahwa sistem ekonomi terbuka dan adil akan menguntungkan semua pihak. Itu mengapa saya menyambut baik kesepakatan Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership, IACPA. Kolaborasi menjadi kata kunci. Kolaborasi akan menciptakan peluang, mengembangkan pusat pertumbuhan ekonomi baru, dan menemukan solusi bagi tantangan ekonomi global. Ini yang sebenarnya Indonesia dan ASEAN proyeksikan melalui ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific. Outlook yang akan mengubah rivalitas menjadi kerjasama, yang mengubah trust deficit menjadi strategic trust. Jika ini dijalankan, kawasan Indo-Pasifik akan menjadi pusat pertumbuhan ekonomi dunia di masa depan. Indonesia dan Australia harus menjadi jangkar kerjasama di kawasan Indo-Pasifik. Yang ketiga, Indonesia dan Australia harus menjadi anchor mitra pembangunan di kawasan Pasifik. Indonesia memahami tantangan pembangunan di kawasan Pasifik. Sebagai sesama negara kepulauan, tantangan yang dihadapi Indonesia dan negara kawasan Pasifik tidak jauh berbeda. Perubahan iklim dan bencana alam, serta pemerataan sosial, pendidikan, kesehatan, dan pembangunan sumber daya manusia adalah tantangan nyata yang dihadapi negara-negara di kawasan Pasifik. Indonesia dan Australia harus menjadi teman sejati bagi negara-negara di kawasan Pasifik, berkolaborasi sebagai mitra pembangunan, mengatasi dampak perubahan iklim, memperkecil tingkat kemiskinan dan kesenjangan sosial, menciptakan pusat-pusat pertumbuhan ekonomi baru di kawasan Pasifik. Keempat, kita harus bahu-membahu bagi pelestarian alam dan pembangunan yang berkelanjutan. Reboisasi hutan dan daerah hulu sungai, mencegah kebakaran hutan dan lahan, komitmen untuk menurunkan emisi karbon, serta pengembangan energi terbarukan dan green teknologi lainnya. Rencana Indonesia untuk membangun ibu kota baru adalah salah satu bagian dari komitmen ini. Smart City, Smart Metropolis, Green Technology yang berharmoni dengan lingkungan alam dan sekaligus sebagai bagian dari upaya transformasi ekonomi berbasis inovasi, ilmu pengetahuan, dan teknologi. Kolaborasi kemitraan Indonesia dan Australia di tengah dunia yang terus dipenuhi ketidakpastian dapat diilustrasikan dalam film Avengers Endgames. Jika kekuatan positif bersatu, the Avengers Assemble, maka musuh bersama dapat dilumpuhkan. Jika Indonesia dan Australia bekerja sama dan berkolaborasi, maka intoleransi, proteksionisme, dan ancaman kemiskinan, serta ancaman perubahan iklim dapat kita atasi. Para hadirin yang saya muliakan, selain 4 fokus tersebut, jangkar kemitraan Indonesia dan Australia pada tahun 2050, 3 dekade dari sekarang adalah generasi muda kita. Saya ingin menawarkan Ausindo Wave, Australia Indonesia Wave bagi generasi muda Indonesia dan Australia. Kita harus tawarkan tren kedekatan Indonesia-Australia kepada generasi muda, menggelorakan kecintaan generasi muda Australia kepada Indonesia, dan sebaliknya, kecintaan generasi muda Indonesia kepada Australia. Generasi muda kita saat ini yang akan menjadi pemimpin masa depan. Investasi pada generasi muda akan memperkokoh kemitraan Indonesia dan Australia ke depan. Kita sudah memiliki modal yang besar. Saat ini terdapat 160.000 siswa Australia belajar bahasa Indonesia dan 21.000 pemuda Indonesia belajar di Australia. Jika ini terus dilakukan, maka kemitraan Indonesia-Australia pada tahun 2050, pada 1 abad umur kemitraan kedua negara, akan bermanfaat bukan saja bagi rakyat kedua negara, tapi bagi dunia. Sebagai penutup, saya ingin mengutip musisi Jimmy Little, artis aborigin Australia. We are all gifted with the opportunity to succeed, but you get farther if you extend the hand of friendship. Melalui persahabatan yang tulus, maka hubungan Indonesia dan Australia bukan saja bermanfaat bagi kesejahteraan kedua negara, namun juga bagi kawasan di sekitar kita dan bagi dunia secara keseluruhan. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.